We're live at Big 12 Media Days in Arlington, AT&T Stadium in Houston. Football coach Dana Holgorsen, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and I'm David Smoke. You're here. I mean, this is official back on July 1st, but here you are, and what has been the excitement the last few days, and really the last year and a half?
Yeah, I'm tired of celebrating, honestly. I mean, we've been preparing for this for a couple years, all right? So it's been, I don't remember when the official announcement was, 18, 20 months ago or whatever it was. So it's been a long process of preparing for this moment, And so I think today kind of puts it in perspective for me a little bit, being back here, in the Big 12 with the media days, which is just on a different level, different scale from what I've been doing for the last 4 years. So, I know the celebration was on July 1st. I celebrated in Cabo with my family, and so I didn't take part in it. I got to take vacation this time of the year.
How could you go to Cabo when you could have been like there on the Houston campus?
Yeah, I've been semi-celebrating and talking about it for 18 months.
Yeah.
I mean, the official drop the ball, so to speak, thing, I just really wasn't interested in skipping a vacation to do it. They wanted me. We did a midnight toast that they wanted me to be a part of, and after a long day of golfing and eating and drinking in Cabo, I didn't think that'd be a good idea for me. So honestly, though, I was like, Pez, you handle the celebration aspect. I mean, it's great for the University of Houston. We're all thrilled and excited about it. I needed a vacation. I'm refreshed and ready for media days, and then ready to do my real job, which is coach our football team.
That was what I was going to ask you. Is that you're a coach? Like all this stuff is the stuff you have to do as the CEO of a program. Which is now the head coach in college football's job. But how at this time of year do you start getting the itch to let's get to work and do what what I'm actually paid to do, which is try and win football games?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with flipping that switch off for a while. I really don't. I never have. I guess that's why I'm still doing this, for my 33rd year now, is not burning out, So we work hard in June, June 1 to June 25 when recruiting's open. And I'm actually coaching my real team, because like in spring football, I only had about 56% of my real team, and the rest of them got there in June 1st. So June 1 through June 25, I've never worked harder, okay? And so June 26, I shut my phone down. I peaced out. I said, leave me alone until I go to media days on the 10th or whatever today is. So I got no problem shutting that thing off. I'll start working my way back into it over the next couple of weeks. Recruiting opens back up here in another 12 days or whatever it is. And we'll do that, do our due diligence with that, finish up some things with our team, give them a couple days off, and then boom, I'll be refreshed, ready to coach August 1st.
What would you describe as kind of the themes of this offseason for your football program? What have you guys focused most on, and what has kind of been, I guess, so to speak, kind of the main storyline of the offseason?
Well, just transitioning everything in our life to go into this conference. I mean, I've been in this conference for 17 years. I know what it's like. I know how deep it is. It's never been deeper than it is right now. It's never been more competitive than it is right now. So, just changing everything in our world, from how we practice to how we recruit to what our support staff looks like to how much fundraising we need to do to trying to figure out NIL, which I think we're all trying to figure that out, to trying to get our team's mindset to where we can compete. Our goal is to compete, right? So I don't care if it's game 1 against UTSA, game 2 Rice, game 3 TCU, which is the big one, which is the first opening Big 12 football game, which everybody wants to talk about. I'm like, no, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about UTSA.
They're pretty good.
Who's pretty good, yeah. And Rice, who's better, who went to a bowl game last year, who's better, and is for a trophy. So there's a lot of stuff to focus on. This offseason's pretty much just been like, get yourselves ready to compete, and you better be ready to compete every week.
In your history with the Big 12, because you've been a part of that, why do you think the conference, or what is maybe underrated about the conference, even though you haven't been a part of it recently?
Well, there used to be some layups, back in the day. I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Baylor was a layup for a long time.
Our 8 years at Texas Tech, Baylor was a layup.
Mm-hmm.
That changed in about 2009. When Art started getting things going, and that changed where Baylor became the powerhouse that it was for a few years, and most recently, obviously, winning a Big 12 championship. There's no layups. Iowa State was a layup back in the day. Kansas was a layup back in the day. I mean, Kansas whipped our tail last year. I mean, that's a good football coach and a good football team and a good quarterback, So it's just there's no layups, And so you look at everybody in the league. Everybody's capable of beating anybody on any given day. We should have beat Tech last year and lost in triple overtime. The very next week, Tech had momentum and beat Texas. So, I mean, it's a league that's just very deep, very competitive, and you got to be ready to play each and every week.
How does that change? I mean, and I know that coaches, you don't look at things as a layup because you don't know what's going to happen to your team the week before you get one of those things that, like, thank God we don't have to play so-and-so this week because you never know. But is it a drain on you during the season that you have, like, you've got to make sure that you are mentally sharp because it is a ball of butcher knives every week?
Yeah, you don't think of layups until after the season. I mean, you look back on your schedule and you say, okay, that was a little bit of a layup, and this was a little bit of a layup. And in the season, you don't look at it that way, And so you got to build your team and your mindset of your coaches and of your football team that every week is different, and it doesn't matter what happened the previous week. You got to be ready to go the next week, and you got to be able to develop your team from a depth perspective to be able to handle that as well. I think that's the biggest difference in where we're at now with our depth and where we were 2 years ago with our depth. Is 2 years ago we lost a couple of players, you're losing the game. Okay, now, you lose a couple of players, you better be able to plug in a second-team guy that can hold his own if you want to be competitive each and every week, and that's probably the biggest difference in Power 5 and Group of 5.
You are well-versed at the quarterback position. I mean, you're as good as anybody in college football when it comes to dealing with quarterbacks. Donovan Smith comes in from Texas Tech, played quite a bit last year. What have been your impressions, and what was kind of the original idea there of, hey, Donovan would be a great fit for us?
Well, we saw him up close and personal, because he was the quarterback when we went to Lubbock, and he threw it to us a couple of times in the second half, which should have cost Tech the game. Okay, and we've talked about that a lot. If you look back at his game, he's been productive. He's been, he's played in 21 games. I think that was the biggest thing that we looked at. Is look, you better get players in here not only at quarterback, but especially at quarterback that's have that experience. We're coming. We've been so solid at the quarterback position for 4 years with Clayton Tune, who remained relatively healthy and, has been the guy, for the last 4 years to the point where it's like, okay, he's gone and nobody else has experience on our roster. And so you better bring people in with experience. So we went hard on Donovan and sold him on the fact that he can lead us into the Big 12, and not have to look over his shoulder. At Texas Tech, I mean, that quarterback room was absolutely loaded. And so, he played a lot. He played in 21 games, but, he wasn't guaranteed to be the starter next year, And so just coming here, he's got an opportunity to be the one guy in the room that has been there, done that, and has that experience.
Dana, you guys have had talent, a lot of it, NFL talent. Does being a part of the Big 12, have you seen any kind of an uptick in recruiting?
Oh, absolutely, it has. Just give you a little bit of an idea, there's 5 or 6 guys that will start for us next year who we recruited out of high school who didn't come to Houston because it was simply, I love everything about it other than Group of 5. And so we said don't get mad at them, just keep recruiting them. And when we go Power 5, if we go Power 5, maybe we'll get them back. And there's 5 or 6 guys that immediately came back, and transferred back to us. But then there's guys, we've signed 3 4-star receivers in the last 2 classes. Simply because they knew they could play in the Big 12, and we'd never signed 4-star receivers at Houston, and we did the last 2 years. So they're, high school guys, we're in the conversation with them a little bit longer, and then guys that we lost now have an opportunity to come back home.
How much has it helped you just in your own city to establish? You are the University of Houston, and everybody's going to come in there because, you've got 100 high schools that everybody wants players from. But to establish as the team of Houston, now being in the Big 12, to really make your mark.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. It's people are excited about it. Now, 2 things. One, every school coast to coast comes to Houston. All of them. All the top 100 schools.
If they don't, they should be fired, right?
Well, they don't want to get fired, so they're all in Houston. Okay, so it's very competitive, and there's a lot of good places out there. There's a lot of kids that say, I don't want to stay home. I want to go somewhere else. I got 3 of the 4 guys that are here with me today are all Houston kids that wanted to stay home. That was just important to them to stay home. So, we'll get guys because they want to stay home, but we're not getting a lot of guys, because they want to explore other options as well. Just as far as, fan base and support and all that, we're gaining. This was a huge step in the right direction by being able to play this schedule. People are excited about it. They're buying tickets. We're going to have more people than we've ever had at these games, which is a good thing. We're going to be able to recruit at the highest level to be able to compete for the top spot in this conference. We're not there yet. I mean, we got a building to build. Our facilities are not what the rest of the teams in the Big 12 are. We know that, and our administration is committed to it. So until that thing gets built, which is going to be a couple years from now, it's still a work in progress.
I know you said that you're not looking past UTSA, but we can as media, and we look at your schedule, and you got Texas coming to TDECU and a lot of other big games as well. Did you at least look at it initially and just kind of, did you have any initial impressions of just kind of the highlights, so to speak, of the first year in the league, or was it just strictly like, I'm not looking past the Roadrunners and Jeff Traylor?
No, I looked at it, and I thought we were treated fairly, so, we got 5 home games, 4 road games. We have 10 games in the state of Texas. We play in Houston 8 times, and then obviously a couple-hour trip up the road at Baylor. We only fly 3. We fly to Lubbock, fly to Manhattan, fly to Orlando. So, I mean, it's a hard, challenging schedule. I do think we were treated fairly.
This time when you get to Waco, there's going to be a game, right?
Well, we never got there. Our equipment got there. I can't tell you how many times me and Mac Rhodes laugh about that at this point. He wasn't very happy with me, and I wasn't very happy with him, but
he'll be here today. You could see him again.
We go way back to Houston in 2008 and 2009.
He has been amazing.
He's a remarkable athletic director. Just look at what he did with Houston when he was there, what he did at Missouri, what he's done at Baylor. He's a remarkable AD.
Last thing, if you don't, go ahead.
No Red Bull in the.
I
got a Monster in here.
I usually switch. I'm actually sponsored by Red Bull now, so they send me care packages.
Sweet. Hey.
So
God, that's incredible.
Yeah, so I usually don't. I do that more afternoon. I try not to drink one before noon. I go espresso or coffee or whatever I can get my hands on. Afternoon, I get me a little Red Bull bump, and then we'll see where the rest of the day takes us.
Would be remiss to not ask you about Mike Leach and that staff that he had assembled with Tech and his coaching tree, which is amazing. Your thoughts about the impact he had on your life as a coach and as a person?
Yeah, he's an all-timer now. I mean, not just for me, but for a lot of other people. His memorial in Starkville was very moving and very eye-opening from a perspective of, I would argue that this man had more influence on what we're seeing in today's game at all 3 levels, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's the NFL. You had NFL coaches there, you had head coaches there, you had high school coaches there. He impacted everybody and was a remarkable coach. He was one of the few that just never changed. The air raid has evolved. And everybody took it and put their own little spin on it. I got kicked out of the club because we were ground and pound for a few years. Like Lincoln and Cliff and Sonny and, Sonny Cumbie, and the list goes on and on and on about what they've done with the air raid and how they've changed and how it's evolved. But it's all based on Mike Leach and Hal Mummy and what they a part of. So Mike was the last one standing, and it's sad. He's getting. Tech's going to pay homage to him, finally.
Yeah.
Okay, which has been a long time coming. And that, guess who they're playing? They're playing Houston. And so I'll be on the other sideline.
Oh, great. The emotions won't be very high that night.
Well, they clearly did it on purpose because they know I'm going to be emotional, and I will be emotional. But with Leach and Kingsbury going in the Ring of Honor there, that's it's very well deserved.
Well, at least they should not, like Patrick Mahomes has already been introduced, and they did that, I think, the night they played Baylor. So that could have been like yet another emotional part of it.
Yeah, we beat Mahomes more than he beat us.
Yeah, in college, you're right.
Most
Yeah.
people did,
And we
Yeah.
beat Cliff more than he beat us too. So
Dana,
I just haven't beat Joe yet. He got us in triple overtime last year.
Great
it's
game.
great to see you, and
Right,
glad you're a
appreciate it.
part of this. And we appreciate your time and your transparency, and no doubt, however you're thinking, you're going to tell us, and we appreciate that.
Always good. Go Cougs.
Dana Holgorsen, University of Houston football coach on 365 Sports.